Hi, and welcome back. I am your host for the River District podcast, Viveca Gravel, Community Development Coordinator for the City of Owen Sound. And I am sitting down today with Zach Keeshig of Naagan.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay. He has been functioning out of the Farmers Market here in Owen Sound River District, and I am lucky enough to sit with him today to learn all things that he is working on. And if you've been following his social media or anything like that, man, you know it's a lot. So welcome.
We've had a lot going on. Yes, thank you very much for having me. I appreciate it.
So tell me everything. I want to know everything. It's so interesting, all of it. So I get very excited.
It's been a long journey, but we're finally starting to get there with the notoriety that we've been working on and starting to get a bit more, not just in Owen Sound publicly, but further on down in Toronto and stuff like that. We're starting to get a bit of notoriety, which is good.
Yeah, you were recently at a culinary exhibition of some sort with Russ, who was there recording it all.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yes. No, I didn't know that. Yes, I was selected. I was lucky. Like, it's always promoted on social media, but I was lucky. I got selected 1 out of 12 out of Canada.
Wow.
Yes, and then we did like our first round was I think it was in January, but it was just like over Skype or something like that. The first round, we were sent a bunch of ingredients, and then we had to make a dish from that. And then the judges selected the qualifiers to move on to the final round.
Okay.
And then the final round was between 4 of us down in Toronto cooking at the Garland Culinary Show this year.
Okay.
And I ended up placing 3rd out of 12 out of Canada, which is nice. Yes.
Congratulations.
Yes, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
How long have you been cooking?
So I started actually pretty young. I was in high school. I was actually going to be a plumber beforehand. Like I was doing a co-op at the hospital. But I started living on my own quite young, and I needed to work, so I actually got a job at a restaurant that was here a long time ago. It was called the Shays Lounge. And I was about... Many
of us know the Shays
Yes,
Lounge.
I was about 16, 17 years old. I was just a young guy, and then it turned into, I don't know, I fell in love with it sort of. Like my family's always been cooking, so it was bound for one of us to become a chef, sort of like always going to family dinners and watching the women cook and stuff like that. So one of us were bound to do it.
Okay, so why don't you tell me a little bit about your family and how that has played, and your history and all of those kinds of things that have played into your culinary experience?
Well, right now, so I'm Chef Zach Keeshig. We're working out of the Owen Sound Farmers Market right now, and I specialize in a 9-course tasting menu of progressive Aboriginal cuisine. So we're showcasing food that's either sourced locally, we've gone out and we've foraged it, or we're growing small herbs and flowers and stuff like that ourselves to showcase that in our tasting menu. And then recently we've actually started making like wild drinks to pair with our tasting menu as well. So a few of the ones that we're doing is like a wild ginger beer. We're making stinging nettle beer. So we're doing things like that now, which is nice.
Okay, so tell me then, what exactly is foraging? So
foraging is going out and sort of picking wild herbs that are edible to incorporate into your food, or medicinal herbs. And I wanted that's part of Indigenous heritage, but I also wanted to showcase it in our sort of culinary things we were doing now. And that's where sort of our progressive Aboriginal food came from. Like when I first started doing tasting menus on my own, I didn't really know what my cuisine was. It seemed like for a long time that I was just mimicking chef's dishes that I had worked for already.
Sure.
Like, you know what I mean? And then after a while, like I started going out foraging and shopping locally. And I said to my kid's mother one day, I was like, oh, I think I might do Aboriginal food. And she's like, oh, you're already doing like a version of it. Like you're going out and you're foraging, you're getting back to the land, you're sourcing food from local purveyors. And then that's sort of where it's transpired, and then been able to go to here now.
That's incredible. No, that's incredible. So am I a forager if I go into my backyard and pick dandelions?
Oh, of course. Like
okay.
You can forage small things around your property. A lot of the things that, like dandelions, you can make a dandelion tea.
You make so much out of dandelions.
You can make so much dandelion jelly. Like we'll harvest the roots and we'll roast them, because dandelion was used as like a coffee substitute.
Okay.
So you could roast.
There's caffeine or something in it?
Well, it's just that bitter sort of flavor.
Oh, okay.
So you can.
So it's not going to give me energy.
No. But you can. Yeah, exactly. you can actually just dig the root up and roast it, and then make like a coffee from it, and we'll make.
Okay.
We'll do that, and we'll make ice cream out of it. So we'll make like a roasted dandelion root ice cream.
Cool.
And we do things like that. Yeah.
Very cool. All right, so I'm a forager. Woo-hoo.
Yes.
Just make sure that you're not putting any sort of pesticides on.
No,
your
yeah,
lawn.
make sure you're not doing that sort of stuff. Everybody always asks me like, oh, how do you know? I'm like, I go to places that aren't like when we forage, we do it in town, but we go to places where there's no pesticides.
Sure.
Or foraging in the bush and stuff like that.
Yeah, not right off the road on like a culvert or anything like that where there's salt.
Well, it's a funny story. Like when I was in culinary school, I met this man. It was my mom's neighbor. His name was Bill Proud. And he's like a local mushroom expert around here. He's always at the farmers markets, foraging mushrooms and stuff like that. And he was bugging me for years to go out foraging with him. And at the time, I just thought he was like some kooky hippie. You know what I mean? Like some kooky hippie just going out and foraging wild mushrooms. And when I traveled around a bit more to different restaurants, I saw that they were foraging like wild herbs and wild mushrooms and stuff like that. So when I came back to Owen Sound, I went straight back to him and I was like, oh, teach me your ways now, sort of sensei. And
that's awesome.
Yeah, I ended up building a relationship with him and then learning how to forage, and then it sort of built on after that.
That's so cool. And one of the things that I just recently saw you were cooking with was milkweed.
Yes, milkweed pods. I've been looking at them for a long time. I knew that they were edible, but I seen a spot, like I walk around with my kids all the time, and I saw this spot that the milkweed was just the buds were just starting to come in.
Okay.
So the young buds up at the top of the plant are actually edible. So you can forage them, you sort of blanch them in water until they turn bright green, and then you shock them in a bit of cold water, but then you can like tempura fry them and batter them and stuff like that. And they're so tasty.
So like a squash blossom.
Sort of.
In terms of like the tempuraing and that kind of stuff.
But it almost tastes like a fried green pepper or like a jalapeno, like a fried jalapeno without the heat. Yeah, it's quite nice.
Weird.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Yeah, it's strange.
So what else might we have, and just we'll go over it fairly quickly, but what else might we have just like in our own backyards, essentially? I mean, it's Grey Bruce everywhere is our backyard. And
there's lots of wild edibles. Like there's wood sorrel that grows in your backyard, your front lawn. There's dandelions. Like around the area, we'll go down to Harrison Park and we'll get wild leeks, wild mushrooms, wild ginger, watercress. There's so many different things in different seasons in Owen Sound here.
Now, are there any specific books that you look to as a reference or an app or anything like that where you're like, is this poisonous?
Yeah, there's quite a bit of stuff. Like learning from Bill and then taking on my own initiative was a lot of research, like going out and finding these sort of plants, but then looking on the internet for a reference or looking into a book for a reference. There's lots of books out there.
Okay. All right. Great. No, that's awesome. Because I know it's become very popular, and I don't want to say trendy, but I want to say it's been more popular to learn about what grows locally and how to use it in food and all of those kinds of things. So looping back around to your 9-course tasting menu, what is a 9-course? Well, I mean, I know what 9 courses is, but what is a tasting menu? It's clearly not just, a steak on a plate with some potatoes.
No, it's a lot different than what you would get going to like a normal restaurant. Like what we get a chance to do is showcase a variety of different dishes, and it really showcases my style of food. So we'll do sort of the first 3 courses will be smaller courses that you'll get, like maybe hand food, and then we'll go into some knife and fork sort of dishes. We make a sorbet out of local berries around here that we might flavor with something called pineapple weed. We make ice cream that's been flavored with sweetgrass we source locally, and then we do a couple desserts. So you get a variety of different sort of dishes in the tasting menu.
But much smaller portions, that you're not, exploding by the end of it.
Yeah, it's not huge portions, but it's enough that like.
Well, there's not courses of them. Of course.
But you don't feel hungry going afterwards. Like I feel like that. Like I was worried about that when I would go to tasting menu dinners. I was like, oh, like. I'm gonna have to go get a Big Mac after this. You know what I mean?
Sure.
But no, it's very fulfilling.
Okay, but can I still get a Big Mac after?
Oh, you definitely can. Of course you can.
Okay, but as long as the permission is there, but you won't need it.
No, you won't need it. That's for sure.
Perfect. That's awesome. So you do other things, obviously, than just these Saturday evening tasting menus. You've been getting a lot into bread.
We have. It's actually on our menu right now, but as I traveled around to different restaurants, I noticed that they all had like a signature sourdough bread that they would serve to customers. And I knew instantly that I wanted to try and indigenize it almost. So we make our sourdough with wild rice. It's got pumpkin seeds in it. It's got sunflower seeds in it. It's got golden flax. But then we source flour locally here as well, and we make that with our bread, which is nice.
Okay, no, that's incredible. It also sounds really, really healthy.
Oh, it's quite good.
Yeah, like,
well, it's taken me forever to learn how to make it. When I first started doing it, I wasn't letting them proof long enough because you're not using any yeast in it, right? You're using like natural
the
yeast.
sourdough starter.
Yeah, you're using like a natural fermented yeast. So
and you have to like feed it and stuff, and it's a whole thing. If the pandemic taught us anything, it was that either you can make sourdough bread or you cannot.
That is true. I've seen
it separated us. It separated the world.
Yeah.
into those who can bake and those who cannot. Anyways, no, that's incredible to hear. But how do I get it? If I want a loaf of bread, what do I do?
So we're just about like every once in a while I'll release sort of something on our social media that you can reserve like a loaf of bread and let me know if you want one. We're planning on in the winter time here, maybe closer to the fall when we've slowed down a bit, but to possibly get booth at the farmers market. They've been bugging me to get a booth there and start selling bread. So I think we might venture into that on Saturday mornings, selling our sourdough, and then we've been thinking about bottling our juices that we make in our tasting menu to sell at the market as well. So you'll see like our ginger beer, our stinging nettle beer. You'll see maybe our cedar tea. You might see like a strawberry juice flavored with lavender, like all that sort of stuff.
Seasonally based and that kind of stuff. No, that's awesome. That's so great. So speaking of, seasonal and selling things at farmers markets and stuff, just as we're, getting to the end here, can you speak a little bit about the sustainability in foraging and what that looks like for the future of the culinary world?
Well, I feel for me, and I know a lot of people are doing that now, is to source locally or grow your own food now.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know if it's just like even through the pandemic or on social media, I've seen people were going crazy because there was no food at Walmart. Like, I don't know if you saw that when people were posting like shelves were empty, but Jim down the road has a vegetable farm or a meat farm, like he's raising pigs, and he's begging for people like you and I or the community to go support him and buy food off of him. You know what I mean? And,
absolutely.
But we're worried that Walmart doesn't have food. Like,
right.
You know what I mean? So we've taken it upon ourselves to really try and support local farmers and local producers, and then go out and forge sustainability. It's sustainable too. Like when we do foraging, like you can't just find a patch of wild leeks and pick them all.
No, because they won't grow back.
No, exactly.
Yeah, like, I actually know things about leeks, and that is it.
There you go. Yeah, like, it's things like that. So we'll forage in a small bunch and leave some for next year for it to regenerate, and then we'll be able to come back next year and the years after and pass down knowledge to youth as well.
No, that's awesome, and I think it's so great that you're bringing your kids out with you and passing along the.
Well, it's not even that now. Like I was a culinary coordinator for a non-for-profit, and we've always wanted to continue on the educational piece. Mm-hmm. So besides Naagan, we're working on opening up like a culinary school as well. Like,
okay.
We've been doing that recently, where we're taking schools out from Port Elgin, from Owen Sound, to do foraging tours and teach young youth about wild edibles and how to forage sustainably. And then we want to continue on that sort of educational piece as well.
Okay, well, I want to learn how to forage sustainably.
Yeah.
So maybe do one for adults too, because I will sign up.
Everybody keeps bugging me about that.
Yeah. I will continue to bug him for everyone so that he will do it, because I will sign up, and I'm sure a whole bunch of other people will as well. No, that's great. Is there what's the future for you? What are you looking at?
Right now we're going to continue on with the farmers market, but like I just said, we're looking at trying to get some property out in Sauget, like possibly a little cabin or something like that, where we can turn that into a restaurant and a culinary school.
Okay.
Where we can continue our restaurant stuff Friday, Saturday, and Sundays with the tasting menu, but during the week have youth from what we're doing, like say Port Elgin School wants to come and do a teaching session.
Of course.
We're building gardens, we're making bread, and then we're able to take our bread and stuff like that to markets during the week. So we have a bigger vision of what we want to do now.
Well, I mean, we are happy to have you in the River District for as long as we can have you, and I'm hoping that I can, primarily just convince you to stay as long as you can, because you're now part of the community, of course. But if people want to find you, how do they go about doing that?
So we're social media driven. So we're on Facebook. It's Chef Zach Keeshig. And then on Instagram, it's Chef Zach Keeshig as well. And we release our booking dates on our social media as well. And then there's a link in sort of our bio to our webpage as well.
Okay, awesome. So thank you so much for coming in today.
No, thank you. Appreciate it.
I've learned a lot, and I'm sure the listeners and the people who are watching have learned a lot as well. I'm Viveca. I'm the Community Development Coordinator for the City of Owen Sound, your host, and I've just been sitting down with Zach. So thanks so much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.